Welcome back to Identity Stack. This is Dr. Sarah Austin, technical writer at KeyData Cyber. This time, I'm thrilled to be joined by Arthur Wojcicki, director at KeyData Cyber, to talk about the impending end of support for Microsoft Identity Manager and strategies to achieve a seamless migration. Thank you so much for joining me, Arthur.
Thanks so much, Sarah, for having me. Happy to be here and to share some insights.
Thanks. Arthur, while the end of mainstream support for MIM was announced several years ago, there are still many companies who have yet to migrate away from Microsoft Identity Manager. And while Microsoft has extended their runway, time is quickly running out. For those who have yet to make the leap, could you talk about why this change is happening and when?
Yeah, Sarah, thanks for the question. My take on this, I think, firstly, the rise of a cloud-first approach has definitely accelerated many tools and software, and those in the IGA, IAM space included. Right, so hence the transition to a cloud-only model is really being adapted quickly, both to better meet requirements of customers, provide future scalability that hasn't been had before, and most importantly, keep operational costs for customers predictable. Essentially, the cloud-first model is the present and really the future, and hence the biggest driving force behind Microsoft ending support for its MIM product. Support for MIM initially had been targeted actually for an early 2026 end date, but Microsoft has extended actually its support until early 2029. And that's primarily due to the large outcry of many of its customer organizations relying on MIM heavily for both their hybrid and on-prem identity management. But a lot of these customers are either without a proper transition plan or are just simply not ready for a cloud-based identity solution. From what I've seen in the industry, really the need to continue to handle critical legacy systems, those aren't easy to account for, plan, and change when we're talking about a cloud-based identity solution transition, which most current MIM customers would be doing. And I think the other driving force is many regulated industries, specifically government, healthcare, finance, those three really come to mind, are finding it hard to transition, as often, they're large, complex, they have hybrid environments, and in a lot of cases heavily customized, right? So a lift and shift approach, which we frequently hear about, really doesn't apply, right? So I can't underscore the importance of really making sure that organizations take the time to have a proper strategy and plan. Those are definitely a must.
That's a really crucial point you make about the extension to 2029. It gives users who depend on MIM a bit of breathing room, but it's clearly not a reason for complacency, especially for those in complex regulated environments. It sounds like while the cloud-first model is the future, the journey to get there can have some significant hurdles for complex organizations. Given this timeline and the inevitable shift, what are the advantages of migrating away from MIM now?
Yeah, so great question here again, Sarah. I'd say, again, from what I've seen in the industry, what I know about MIM and a lot of these industries that are leveraging MIM, really the biggest advantage right now, migrating from MIM today or over the next few months, is really reducing overhead, or maybe more importantly, making better use of your organization's human IT capital and really your IT folks, right? So although security patches will continue, now Microsoft extending it until 2029, actual enhancements to the MIM platform itself are actually no more. So organizations, they shouldn't and they don't really want to be wasting valuable resource hours to upkeep and in some cases customize a solution further that is and will no longer be future-proof anyways. I'd say you really want your IT resources enabled to help drive improved performance and scalability with newer, more modern solutions, rather than focusing on, still custom code and PowerShell script just to maintain and keep the lights on with MIM. There's other advantages, but I think another crucial one that I really want to call out here and that comes to mind is compliance. Yes, you hear about improved security, and that is a big one too with all these cloud-first identity solutions, but compliance is just as much, if not more, of an advantage moving off of MIM today rather than waiting. The majority of cloud-based IAM tools offer out-of-the-box robust compliance features. And not to mention they adapt as regulations change, so organizations don't have to spend human capital to do so and upkeep it, right? So whether it's built-in access certifications, policy violation detection, and segregation of duty enforcement, those are all standard. And things like better support for audit logging, compliance evidence generation, and compliance with the well-known standards, again, especially in these regulated industries. So the compliance with standards like GDPR, SOX, HIPAA, they're all done for you in these solutions. And it's not the sexiest work, but it's something that's handled for you and is a really big value add that a lot of organizations and people don't call out, but yet it's super important.
Freeing up human IT capital is such a significant benefit, allowing teams to innovate rather than just maintain. And the compliance aspect you mentioned, with modern IGA tools adapting to changing regulations, sounds like it could alleviate a major headache for many organizations. So if those are the compelling reasons to act sooner rather than later, let's flip that coin. What are the disadvantages of waiting to do it next year?
Yeah, where can I start with this one? I think that the easiest way for anybody to really understand the answer to this question and the disadvantages is, simply put, it's going to be more expensive. And not just in terms of dollars, which always organizations are sensitive to, but technical debt and resources. Not to mention your security risk continues to increase with each passing day. I'm a big believer that not making use of modern IGA features sooner, as opposed to maintaining an existing system, will predictably cost more a year from now. Right? I talked about the human IT capital debt before and bogging down your resources, but really the technical debt will accumulate, making the inevitable migration more complex, painful, and again, more expensive in terms of dollars when you have to eventually migrate from MIM. Right? Migrating from MIM, I'd say, to a new IGA tool, it requires resources also with MIM expertise, right? Those who really know the tool, the specific business logic and rules unique to the organization. And those people are crucial who can actually help translate into the modern IGA platform. We're not always going to do a like-for-like migration, but a lot of the things that are in MIM will need to be transposed into the new tool, right? And these resources are becoming more costly as MIM expertise becomes more obscure. So the importance of migrating sooner today rather than waiting a year really is underscored by that fact. I also wanted to ask, as I'm on the same train of thought here, is the security risk is a big one, right? So aside from increased compliance or failed audit risk and then scrambling to then remediate as necessary, the biggest security risk is at the end of the day to the business itself. Right. So I can't stress this enough. Like, gone are the days of, if an organization will ever be hacked or have a data leak, and especially if it's using a dated tool, which continues to linger longer than it should. It's really a matter of when and how bad, right? You don't want your IGA tool and specifically your IAM capabilities, where you have all your identities, to be the operational bottleneck to the business, which potentially could cause endless reputational damage just because you held out hope that you can still manage with MIM, right? The longer you wait, the more expensive it will be and the bigger risk it'll be to the business.
The idea that waiting not only increases costs and technical debt, but also heightens security risks every single day is a powerful motivator. You also touched on modern IGA features. Today's identity solutions undergo frequent upgrades and enhancements to ensure that you are always receiving the best protection available. What do these modern solutions offer that MIM does not?
I'd say a lot of these modern solutions offer endless advantages over MIM, but I'm going to hone in on a couple here. Obviously, the move of many identity solution providers to a cloud-first approach is really a core offering. It allows, essentially, for many things that MIM simply cannot, but there's three big ones that I think I'd want to highlight. The first one, we hear about this a lot, but it's really true, is scalability, right? So whether you are an organization that has 100 identities today and needs to scale to 10,000 a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, however your business growth trajectory is, a modern identity solution can auto scale as needed to support that business growth. With MIM, you often need more infrastructure to scale and simply detailed planning based on the nature of its on-prem setup. I think a second point I'd want to make is no infrastructure maintenance, right? So gone are the days of having to patch servers, right? No physical infrastructure to maintain by your IT folks, and they really don't have to worry about maintenance of any sort. I touched about patching servers, but also even maintaining databases. So it frees up those people to really be rerouted to, again, I'd say more meaningful work centered around a newer, more modern identity solution. And the third one I think I'd call out in terms of modern solution offering over MIM is really the consistently strong security posture. So I talked about the compliance piece earlier, but really these modern solutions, again, I can't stress them enough. They also have really innovative security posture features straight out of the box. So whether it's multi-factor authentication, the availability of just-in-time provisioning, or more importantly, things like real-time risk-based decisions that you manually or physically don't need an IT person or a developer to code for you is a huge advantage. And those risk-based decisions can be as granular as an organization wants. And all of that is upkeeping security posture for the organization 24/7 through a modern solution, right? Something that MIM cannot offer.
Those 3 points, scalability, no infrastructure maintenance, and a consistently strong security posture, really highlight the operational and security uplift that modern solutions provide. It's clear that the technology has evolved significantly. So for our listeners, particularly those in leadership positions who are nodding along, recognizing these challenges and opportunities in their organization, what advice would you offer to them? If they need to migrate their org to a new solution, where do you even start?
Yeah, so I actually get this question a lot, and I think whether it's senior leadership and particularly CISOs or CTOs, my big assumption and hope really is these folks really do truly understand that their organization needs an IAM program, whether it's big, small, or an organization in between in size, with a proper tool set ensured to align with organizational risk posture, business strategy, and overall IT roadmap. It's critical, right? So I think where to start, obviously not as simple to dissect, but I'm a big believer that, keeping it simple, right? So from a starting perspective, simply understanding the why, right? Why do you need a modern solution, right? Now that might seem like an obvious answer, but when it's dissected by senior leadership and applicable stakeholders, it can get more in depth. Like, is it simply because MIM is approaching end of life and you're forced to, right? A lot of organizations will be in that boat. Is it compliance and regulatory based? Do you have a third party or external regulator breathing down your neck to close some gaps or to remediate gaps? Potential MRAs, for example. Is it to reduce manual processes? Is it because your competitors have it and are reducing bottlenecks, hence driving more business as a result? Right? So knowing the why or the several whys is crucial to then really better understand what the best options and ultimately solutions are. There can be many responses to the why, but ultimately some are more pragmatic than others, and they aren't always rinse and repeat from one org to another. I think probably the advice or what I would encourage, senior leaders, CISOs, CTOs, and their trusted stakeholders is really to identify and prioritize 3 to 5 of these whys and ensure that there is majority agreement and consensus amongst the cross-functional leaders and teams in the organization. And then obviously, once you have, these whys, you can also maybe call them, I guess, business drivers. My biggest benefit here and recommendation would be, why not reach out to KeyData Cyber for a quick chat? What can we do to help take your why or your several whys and transform them, right, to a successful, tangible initiative that will provide immediate short-term value, but also long-term benefits.
That's fantastic practical advice for security leaders. Arthur, thank you so much for sharing your expertise and insights with us today. It's been incredibly valuable. And to our listeners, if your organization is still using Microsoft Identity Manager, be sure to visit us at keydatacyber.com, where you can schedule a complimentary workshop to assess your security needs and receive a roadmap to a secure, scalable IAM strategy for your organization.